Long before the first dragons stirred in the skies above Tamriel, before the echoes of mortals' voices carried across the valleys, the land itself seemed to breathe in silence. Mountains stretched their shoulders to the heavens, cloaked in mists that danced like gentle spirits. Rivers wound their silver paths through dense forests, their waters carrying stories older than memory. The wind whispered secrets through the pines, and the very stones beneath one's feet hummed with the faint pulse of forgotten time. In these quiet moments, the world felt as if it were listening, waiting for something yet to come. It was in these ages, when mortals and mare alike still walked beneath unshaped skies, that the first stirrings of power began to awaken. Some say it was the dragons, great and terrible, whose roars carved the mountains and whose wings stirred the storms. Others speak of hidden priests, mortals who sought to touch the divine, to bind themselves to a power that shimmered just beyond the veil of the known. They watched the movements of stars, listened to the murmur of the wind, and read the language of the rivers. And slowly, like the turning of the seasons, they learned the patterns of the world. These mortals would come to be known as dragon priests, though in the beginning they were nameless, for their power was subtle, almost imperceptible. They moved quietly among their people, guiding, shaping, teaching. Their lives were long, though not endless, and they sought to capture fragments of the eternal, the wisdom of the stars, the strength of dragons, and the mystery of death itself. In their hands, magic became a soft song rather than a weapon, a thread that wove the land into a tapestry of reverence and awe. The lands they walked upon were not yet fractured by war, yet they held the quiet tension of potential. Valleys sighed beneath the weight of snow, forests breathed with the gentle sway of leaves, and the mountains waited, silent and patient. In the stillness, one could almost hear the thoughts of the earth, like a slow heartbeat beneath the crust of history. And it was in this stillness that the dragon priests learned to listen. They discovered that knowledge was not always a roar, but a whisper. That power was not always a flame, but a glow. And that life, in all its fleeting impermanence, could be understood through patience, observation, and quiet reflection. Each gesture, each step, each glance carried meaning. Each ritual they performed was less an act of dominance than a conversation with the world itself. They sought to align themselves with the flow of time, to become part of the eternal song that had existed long before mortals or mere could even dream of speaking it aloud. And so, the first dragon priests arose in shadow and silence, their presence almost a rumor upon the land. Their tombs were not yet carved, their masks not yet fashioned, but the seeds of their legacy were sown in every whispered wind, in every ripple upon the water, in every shadow cast beneath the sun. They moved like gentle currents through history, shaping destinies as quietly as the moon shapes the tides. If one were to close their eyes in those days, to breathe with the patience of the earth, they might have felt the faint brush of the dragon priest's influence, as if the land itself was remembering, speaking softly, and inviting the listener to lean into the calm of ages past. And in that moment, time itself seemed to pause, allowing the world to exhale, slow and steady, carrying with it the first whispers of the dragon priests and the quiet promise of stories yet to unfold. As the ages unfolded, the nameless mortals who would become dragon priests began to shape the land, not with armies, nor with crowns, but with presence, patience, and devotion. Their eyes saw beyond the veil of the ordinary, glimpsing the subtle threads that bound the earth, the sky, and the hearts of living creatures together. They wandered silently through valleys and forests, listening to the hum of the earth, tracing the patterns of rivers, and watching the slow passage of clouds across the mountains. To them, every stone, every tree, every flicker of sunlight carried a message, a lesson, a quiet truth waiting to be understood. In their hands, rituals became art, and magic became music. They learned to call upon the breath of dragons without raising a roar. Their voices were soft, their chants slow, carrying across empty halls and shadowed glens like distant echoes of eternity. Each gesture was deliberate, each step a meditation, as if the very rhythm of the world had settled within their bones. Time, to them, was a river to follow, not a current to fight, and they moved through it with a grace that seemed almost dreamlike. These mortals were not gods, yet they touched divinity in ways most could not perceive. They studied the stars and learned the language of the heavens, noting the alignment of constellations and the hidden dance of planets. They sought to understand the power of dragons, not merely to dominate it, but to mirror it, to let its wisdom flow through their thoughts, their hearts, their very being. And as they did, they began to leave traces of their presence upon the world. The first temples, the earliest tombs, and the masks that would one day become their legacy. The masks were not merely adornments. They were symbols of understanding, of mastery, of quiet authority. Each one held a fragment of the priest's essence, capturing their knowledge, their insight, their devotion. When worn, they whispered to the wearer, guiding them with subtlety, not command. Through these masks, the dragon priest became both mortal and more than mortal, a bridge between the ephemeral and the eternal. It is said that their presence was felt even when unseen. Travelers would pause on mountain paths, as if a gentle thought brushed against their minds. The wind might carry a soft hum through the trees, a sound neither frightening nor alarming, but strangely comforting, like a lullaby sung by the mountains themselves. And in these quiet moments, one could sense the beginning of a pattern, a hidden order in the chaos of the world, slowly taking shape beneath the guidance of those first priests. Yet, as with all who walk close to the divine, the dragon priests were not untouched by the passage of time. Their power waxed and waned like the moon, and they learned to respect the cycles of life and death. They understood that to hold too tightly, to grasp too eagerly, would undo the harmony they sought. And so, they moved deliberately, always mindful, always patient, leaving behind whispers in the wind, footprints in the soil, and a promise that their stories would endure in the quiet corners of Tamriel for centuries to come. In the hush of night, when stars reflected upon still waters, one might feel the faint echo of their lives, a soft resonance, a gentle presence, like a memory of light brushing through shadows. And so the first dragon priests, in silence and reverence, became part of the eternal song of Tamriel, their influence a delicate, guiding note in the vast, meditative symphony of ages yet to be told. In the quiet corners of Tamriel, where shadows stretch long and the wind carries secrets, the first masks of the dragon priests were born. They were not mere objects of adornment, nor symbols of vanity. They were vessels of memory, of purpose, of the silent strength that the priests carried. Crafted in the dim light of sacred chambers, each mask captured a fragment of the wearer's essence. Knowledge, wisdom, and devotion all woven into the cold, polished stone and enchanted metals. Legends whisper that the masks were guided by the hands of the divine, shaped by the understanding of dragons and mortals alike. Each curve, each line, each hollowed was a reflection of harmony between the ephemeral world of flesh and the eternal song of the cosmos. When worn, a mask did not command the wearer. It sang to them, a soft resonance that aligned their heartbeats with the rhythms of the world. And in this harmony, the dragon priests became both mortal and more than mortal, a bridge between fleeting life and endless memory. There was meaning in every mask. Some bore the cold majesty of ice, whispering patience and clarity to those who listened. Others captured the warmth of fire, reminding the wearer of courage tempered by wisdom. Some reflected the silent power of shadow, teaching subtlety and careful observation. And others held the strength of stone, grounding the mind and spirit in the slow, deliberate unfolding of time. Together, these masks formed a gallery of souls, a library of essence, where the knowledge of the ages rested in quiet equilibrium. The crafting of these masks was itself a ritual, as measured and meditative as the lives of the priests. Precious metals were folded into intricate shapes, Gemstones were placed where the light could catch them, whispering hints of arcane energy. The priests moved through the work with patience, each hammer strike, each chisel mark, a meditation in sound and touch. Magic flowed through them as water through rivers, subtle and persistent, shaping matter as the mind shapes thought. And when the mask was complete, it was more than a relic. It was a living memory, a silent teacher, a gentle guide through the long corridors of time. Yet the masks were not mere tools. They were companions, silent witnesses to the triumphs and failures of those who bore them. In the hush of night, the priests would speak softly to their masks, recounting their deeds, asking for guidance, listening for the faint hum that answered in kind. And as they walked the lands of Tamriel, their masks reflected the soft light of dawn, the shimmer of starlight, the quiet majesty of mountains. Travelers might have glimpsed these masked figures from afar and felt, for a fleeting moment, the subtle weight of eternity pressing gently upon their minds. Thus, the mask became a symbol of continuity, a bridge across time and memory. Each priest left their essence behind in stone and metal, a whisper that would endure long after their voices were gone. And so, in the quiet places where shadows linger and the wind hums softly through ancient trees, the masks of the dragon priests wait still, carrying the gentle, meditative echoes of ages past, inviting all who listen to lean into their calm and dream of the long, reverent flow of history. Each mask of the dragon priests holds a story, a quiet echo of the life and purpose of its wearer. In the shadowed halls of their tombs, the masks rest, waiting like sentinels of memory. Some are shaped to reflect the serene majesty of kings long forgotten, their eyes hollow yet full of quiet authority. Others shimmer with traces of ancient magic, glowing softly in the dim light, as if breathing with the pulse of time itself. To gaze upon a mask is to glimpse a soul, a fragment of devotion, a whisper of eternity. Ozadil's mask, forged in the northern reaches where snow blankets the earth in silence, bears the icy patience of winters long past. It is said that those who looked into its hollow eyes felt a quiet reflection, as if the cold of the mountains had seeped into their very thoughts. Each contour of the mask speaks of wisdom honed over centuries, a measured calm that shapes the mind like a slow, steady stream. In its presence, one is reminded that strength is not in haste, but in endurance, in the quiet accumulation of knowledge and experience. Nala's mask, by contrast, glows with the warm radiance of fire, forged in flames that danced beneath starry skies. Its surface hums faintly, carrying the pulse of courage and determination. When worn, it is said that the heart of the wearer beats in quiet synchrony with the rhythm of the world, each breath a meditation on purpose and destiny. The mask does not command action. It nurtures insight, allowing the wearer to see the long paths of cause and consequence, the delicate interplay of choice and consequence across the tapestry of life. Akari's mask, dark as midnight, reflects the soft mystery of shadow. Its presence is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet those who feel it sense a depth of perception beyond ordinary sight. It whispers lessons in observation, in patience, in the quiet art of understanding without disturbance. To be near it is to move slowly, thoughtfully, as if the world itself has hushed to listen. In these quiet spaces, the mind finds clarity not through movement, but through stillness, through gentle reflection, through an openness to the subtle currents of the unseen. Each mask is unique, yet together they form a continuum of wisdom and insight. They teach without words, guide without force, and remind all who encounter them that the world is larger than the sum of its parts. In the quiet of night, in the soft glow of candlelight or moonlight, one can almost hear the faint murmur of these masks, a delicate chorus echoing through time. And though the dragon priests who wore them have long since passed into memory, their essence endures, resting in the cold stone and enchanted metal. inviting those who wander near to lean into calm, to reflect, and to drift gently into the soft currents of history. So, as one imagines the silent corridors where these masks remain, it is easy to feel the weight of ages, not as burden, but as a gentle, steadying presence. Each mask, each whisper, each shadowed echo is part of the enduring melody of Tamriel, a song of patience, of devotion, of quiet majesty, and it waits for the listener to close their eyes and let themselves be carried into the serene embrace of ages past. Beneath the mountains and hills of Tamriel, hidden from the eyes of wandering mortals, lie the tombs of the dragon priests. They are not merely resting places, but sanctuaries of memory, of devotion, of power woven into stone and shadow. Carved with patient hands, their halls stretch into darkness, corridors winding like the slow rivers that trace the valleys above. Every wall, every arch, every stone holds a story, a whisper of ages past, waiting to be felt rather than spoken. The air in these tombs is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of earth and ancient incense. Sounds are softened here, footsteps echoing in measured rhythm, as if the halls themselves breathe alongside the visitor. Light enters reluctantly, spilling through narrow windows or cracks in the stone, painting patterns that dance softly across the walls. Shadows gather in corners, not menacing but contemplative, like thoughts that linger in quiet reflection. In this muted space, time itself seems to slow, stretching into a calm continuum where the past and present coexist without hurry. Each tomb is unique, yet all share a reverent symmetry. Vaulted ceilings rise overhead, etched with faint symbols that glimmer with forgotten magic. Pillars, smooth and solemn, reach skyward, holding the weight of centuries. In niches carved carefully into stone, statues of long-forgotten figures sit in silent meditation, their features worn yet expressive, as though caught between sleep and wakefulness. It is a place where the boundary between mortal and divine blurs, where echoes of devotion linger like soft music in the air. Some tombs hold chambers filled with offerings, gems that glimmer in muted light, bowls once used in rituals, scrolls of fragile parchment inscribed with knowledge that predates history itself. Each artifact is a reminder that these halls were alive once, shaped by hands that moved with careful intent, guided by wisdom and reverence. The dragon priests did not seek mere grandeur. They sought harmony, an alignment with the eternal rhythms of the world. Their tombs, even in silence, continue this work, speaking to those who pause to listen. Walking through these corridors, one might feel the faint presence of those who built them, not as spirits seeking attention, but as gentle reminders of patience, of meditation, of understanding. Their lives, their devotion, their careful attention to the world around them echoes softly in every stone, every shadowed corner, every flicker of distant light. To step inside is to step into a lullaby of history, a slow, deliberate meditation on the passage of ages, carrying the mind and spirit gently toward calm and rest. Even the air seems to hum with a quiet power, not threatening, but soothing, like the slow vibration of a deep drum echoing across centuries. One might imagine the priests themselves moving silently through these halls long ago, performing rituals of remembrance and devotion, their presence a soft murmur on the wind. And as the visitor stands still, breathing slowly, the tomb's quiet majesty seeps in, carrying a gentle serenity that lingers, like a faint, comforting whisper of Tamriel's ancient heart. Within the hidden halls of the dragon priests' tombs, magic weaves silently through stone and shadow, soft as a whisper, yet steady as the heartbeat of the earth. These were not tombs of fear, but sanctuaries of vigilance, places where knowledge and devotion were preserved with care. Every doorway, every chamber, every passageway was imbued with enchantments designed not to harm the curious, but to guide the worthy and protect the sacred. The air itself seemed to hum with quiet intention, as if the walls remembered the hands that shaped them and the chants that once filled their spaces. Before a dragon priest could rest in eternal slumber, rituals were performed with deliberate patience. Incense was burned, smoke curling like drifting spirits in the candlelight. Soft chants, measured and calm, echoed against stone ceilings, creating a harmony that resonated with the very pulse of the land. Every movement held meaning. The placement of a hand upon a pedestal, the turning of a scroll, the gentle alignment of sacred symbols. Through these ceremonies, the priests did not merely protect their physical forms. They harmonized their essence with the enduring rhythm of the world, ensuring that even in stillness, their presence remained alive in memory. Protections were subtle, designed for reverence rather than force. Some corridors seemed to stretch longer than they appeared, leading wanderers to pause and reflect upon the patience required to reach their goal. Other chambers concealed themselves in shadow, revealing their treasures only to those who moved with mindfulness. Symbols etched into walls glimmered faintly with magic, reacting to the touch of the observant and remaining inert to those who hurried or wandered carelessly. In every enchantment, there was a lesson: respect the quiet, follow the rhythm, and understand that power flows slowly, like water through ancient channels. The tombs also held mirrors of memory, reflective pools or polished stones that captured glimpses of the past. One could see rituals performed long ago, faint echoes of chanting, the soft light of candles illuminating the solemn faces of the priests. These visions were gentle, never startling, offering guidance to those willing to watch, a quiet reminder that the world is built upon acts of devotion and patience. Even the smallest gestures carried weight, and the tombs preserved these lessons as one might preserve a fragile dream. In the hush of these spaces, the presence of the dragon priests lingers, not as restless spirits, but as enduring essence, a meditative hum in the walls, a calm vibration in the air. They continue to teach, softly and silently, through the rhythm of their protections, the grace of their rituals, and the subtle power of their magic. One who listens, one who moves with care and breathes in synchrony with the quiet pulse of the tomb, may feel the gentle embrace of centuries, a lullaby of history, a whisper that carries the mind toward rest and serenity. Thus, the tombs remain, timeless and patient, echoing the wisdom of the dragon priests. They are more than stone and enchantment. They are guardians of calm, keepers of quiet knowledge, and bearers of the gentle, enduring song of Tamriel. To step inside is to breathe in history itself, to feel the measured rhythm of devotion, and to drift slowly, meditatively, into the soft, lingering memory of ages long past. High above Tamriel, where clouds drift slowly across jagged peaks and valleys stretch beyond the eye's reach, dragons once soared in majesty, their wings stirring the air with quiet authority. They were ancient beings, older than the stones, older than the forests, and their presence carried the weight of eternity. To the first dragon priests, these creatures were not merely powerful allies or forces of destruction. They were mirrors of the world's hidden rhythms, reflections of patience, strength, and timeless wisdom. The mist that clung to mountains and forested slopes became a veil, a soft curtain that separated the ordinary from the extraordinary. Dragons moved through it like whispers of history, their scales catching the faint light of dawn and dusk, shimmering in colors both familiar and impossible. Their eyes held the quiet observation of centuries, watching over the lands and its inhabitants without hurry or judgment. To see a dragon rise from the mist was to witness eternity itself unfurling in slow, deliberate motion, each beat of its wings a meditation on the vastness of existence. The dragon priests, in turn, approached these beings with reverence and care. They did not seek to conquer, nor to command. Instead, they listened, they observed, and they learned. Every movement of the dragon, every flicker of its tongue, every shift in its gaze held meaning. Through patient study and ritual, the priests aligned themselves with the creature's essence, learning not only of their strength but also of their calm, measured dominance over time and space. The dragons became teachers in subtle ways, showing that power is not always loud, that influence is often felt rather than seen. In moments when mist blanketed the peaks, one could imagine the soft hum of magic weaving between the priests and the dragons. Rituals were performed atop cliffs, where the wind carried the faintest echo of ancient chants. The priests' voices were gentle, flowing with the rhythm of the mountains, reaching the dragons in waves of resonance. And in return, the dragon's presence seemed to settle upon the land, like a lullaby of scales and shadow, a quiet song that lingered long after the creatures had vanished beyond sight. Even in the deepest forests, where sunlight barely touched the ground, traces of this bond remained. Trees bent gently, as if in acknowledgement. Rivers whispered softly as they meandered, and the very soil seemed richer, imbued with the patience and majesty of beings who had existed for ages beyond reckoning. To the dragon priests, this connection was sacred, a reminder that the world is alive with rhythm and subtle guidance, that wisdom can be found in watching and listening, and that the heart of Tamriel beats in time with the soft, deliberate flight of dragons through mist and memory. Thus, dragons and priests shared a quiet understanding, a meditative harmony that wove together mortal devotion and immortal presence. It was a bond that left no trace of chaos, only soft echoes of continuity, gentle reminders that in the hush of mountains and the drift of clouds, one could feel the heartbeat of eternity itself, waiting to be observed, felt, and quietly remembered. The connection between the dragon priests and the dragons was subtle, unseen by most, yet profound in its quiet influence. It was not forged in force or domination, but in observation, patience, and a shared understanding of the rhythm of the world. In the early mornings, when mist clung to mountaintops and the first rays of light spilled across jagged peaks, priests would sit in stillness, listening to the faint rustle of wings and the distant echo of roars carried on the wind. They learned to interpret the movements of these majestic creatures, reading meaning in the tilt of a wing, the flick of a tail, the cadence of a breath. The dragons, in return, acknowledged the presence of the priests. They did not descend to speak, nor did they bow in ceremony. Yet their awareness of mortal devotion was unmistakable. A dragon circling silently above a high cliff, its shadow gliding across the snow, could convey guidance, caution, or approval without a single word. The priests understood this language of presence, a communication older than speech, rooted in energy, intent, and the slow, patient passage of time. Through this bond, the dragon priests gained insight into the balance of power, the flow of life, and the delicate interplay between mortals, dragons, and the enduring land itself. Rituals were often shared between priest and dragon, though not in the conventional sense of casting or incantation. The priest's actions were measured, flowing like water, movements deliberate and serene, synchronized with the rhythm of the dragon's flight or the beating of its wings. These moments were meditative, each gesture a reflection of respect, each breath a quiet acknowledgement of the ancient presence that hovered nearby. It is said that in these shared silences, priests glimpsed the eternity of the dragons, and dragons felt the stillness of mortal devotion, a soft resonance that lingered long after the encounter ended. The bond also shaped the lands themselves. Valleys through which dragons flew carried subtle traces of magic, imbued with the calm harmony of mutual understanding. Rivers seemed to flow with a more measured patience, forests swayed with a gentle rhythm, and mountains exhaled slowly, as if the world itself responded to this quiet partnership. Travelers passing through these places might feel an inexplicable serenity, a faint sense of being watched, guided, and protected, though the watchers remained unseen. In essence, the dragon priests and dragons coexisted as mirrors of one another. The priests absorbed the dragon's patience, strength, and timeless wisdom. The dragons acknowledged the priest's devotion, insight, and measured grace. Together, They created a resonance that echoed across valleys, forests, and mountains, a soft, enduring song of harmony. And in the hush of dawn, when mist lingers and light trembles softly across the peaks, one could feel the faint heartbeat of this bond, a meditation on eternity, a gentle whisper of Tamriel's hidden majesty, and a lullaby for those who pause to listen. Within the quiet halls of the dragon priest's tombs, magic lingers like a gentle mist, soft yet enduring, weaving through stone and shadow with patience older than memory. These were not spells of fury or force, but of preservation, devotion, and serenity. The priests in life sought to bind themselves to the rhythms of the world, and in death, they extended this devotion through enchantments that would endure across centuries. Each incantation, each sigil etched into stone or metal, carried a whisper of calm, a meditation on eternity, a song of stillness meant to soothe both the body and the spirit. The spells were subtle, perceptible only to those who moved with care and listened with patience. In dimly lit chambers, one could sense a gentle vibration, a hum of energy that wrapped around the air, filling every corner with quiet resonance. Candles flickered not with ordinary light, but with the faint shimmer of lingering magic, reflecting colors that seemed to rise and fall like slow, breathing waves. Incense drifted lazily through the halls, curling in patterns shaped by enchantment, carrying scents of distant forests, misty mountains, and the soft earth of forgotten valleys. In these spaces, the very air seemed alive, alive with remembrance, devotion, and meditative purpose. Some spells were woven into objects, bowls, chalices, and gemstones imbued with protective resonance. Others lay hidden within the walls, their power subtle, guiding the steps of those who approached. They encouraged stillness, reflection, and care, reminding any who wandered here that haste or disturbance could break the harmony that had been so carefully cultivated. The magic did not frighten. It invited, guiding the mind into the quiet patience of the ages, a lullaby crafted from stone, air, and quiet devotion. The most revered spells were those that prepared the priests for eternal sleep. These rituals did not aim to freeze life or bind the soul harshly, but to align it with the slow, deliberate pulse of Tamriel itself. Each gesture, each chant was measured, flowing like water over stone, carrying the essence of the priest into a timeless rhythm. In this way, the tombs themselves became sanctuaries of calm, where the living and the departed shared a gentle resonance, a soft song of continuity that drifted silently through corridors and chambers, touching all who lingered with quiet reflection. Even centuries later, traces of these spells remain. A visitor might feel a subtle warmth or coolness, hear a faint hum, or sense a gentle pull on thought and attention, guiding the mind into meditation and calm. The enchantments persist not to control, but to teach patience, respect, and the slow unfolding of time. In the hush of the tombs, in the soft flicker of candlelight, one might feel the heartbeat of ages, the soft, deliberate flow of magic, and the gentle, enduring wisdom of the dragon priests, a lullaby of serenity, a spell of eternal calm, a whisper meant to carry the soul softly into rest. The enchantments woven by the dragon priests extended far beyond the walls of their tombs, reaching softly into the lands of Tamriel, carrying a quiet influence that touched both mortal and nature alike. Travelers passing through valleys or forests near these sacred places sometimes felt a subtle stillness descend upon them, a gentle slowing of thought, as though the very air asked for patience and reflection. The spells did not command attention. They invited mindfulness, guiding the mind toward calm and the body toward rest, like a lullaby whispered by the land itself. Crops in distant fields seemed to grow with an almost imperceptible steadiness, their roots drawing nourishment from soil subtly imbued with lingering magic. Rivers flowed with a smoother cadence, winding around stones in patient arcs, and trees swayed with a rhythm that harmonized with the unseen currents of enchantment. Even animals, in their quiet way, appeared to sense the serenity that hung in these lands, moving with deliberate calm, pausing to listen, to observe, and to act in quiet reflection. The magic did not force harmony. It encouraged it, like a soft hand guiding a child's steps through a meadow. Mortals who dared to explore the tombs themselves often found their perceptions gently altered. Thoughts became slower, more deliberate, emotions tempered by a calm resonance that filled the halls. The mind, freed from haste, could reflect upon history, mortality, and purpose with a clarity that was both soothing and profound. Some spoke of glimpses of the priests themselves, not as living beings, but as echoes of devotion, shimmering in the quiet spaces between stone and shadow. Others described visions of the dragon's soft movements through misted mountains, a reminder that patience and presence are the true marks of strength. Even the land seemed to respond to this interplay of magic and memory. Valleys retained the faint hum of centuries, carrying a quiet energy that made wandering feel both intimate and vast. The mountains themselves seemed to exhale slowly, releasing centuries of accumulated wisdom in the stillness of dawn or twilight. And in the hush of night, when moonlight drifted across forests and rivers, the enchantments whispered softly, inviting mortals to pause, to breathe, and to drift gently into the calm rhythm of Tamriel's enduring heartbeat. Thus, the influence of a dragon priest's spells became a quiet melody woven into the very fabric of the world. Not commands, not warnings, but subtle guides, soft reflections of patience, devotion, and the slow, deliberate flow of time. To step into these lands, or even to hear tales of them, is to feel the gentle embrace of centuries, a lullaby of calm that lingers in thought, in breath, and in the quiet corners of the mind. In this way, both mortals and the land itself become part of a timeless meditation, carrying the resonance of eternal sleep softly, steadily, and serenely through the ages. Even as the dragon priests rested in their silent tombs, stories of their presence drifted across Tamriel, carried by whispers, wind, and the quiet murmur of rivers. Travelers, scholars, and seekers of knowledge felt a subtle pull, a gentle curiosity that led them to hidden valleys, shadowed forests, and mountains veiled in mist. These mortals, drawn by intuition or dreamlike visions, wandered not with haste or ambition, but with careful reverence, moving slowly as if the land itself had instructed them to tread lightly. Some were adventurers seeking relics of power, yet even they approached the tombs with quiet awe. Their steps were measured, their breaths slow, as if following an unspoken rhythm. Others were scholars, drawn by legends and old tomes, their minds attuned to the ebb and flow of history, seeking to understand rather than conquer. In every approach, there was mindfulness, a recognition that these sacred spaces were not merely locations, but living echoes of devotion, patience, and centuries of meditative presence. The tombs seemed to respond to these wanderers, revealing their paths only to those who moved with care. Corridors that appeared endless to the impatient seemed to shorten for the thoughtful. Chambers unveiled treasures, inscriptions, and subtle signs to those who observed quietly, while those who hurried often found themselves gently led astray, as if the halls themselves guided the unready back to contemplation. Every step through these hidden sanctuaries became a lesson in patience, mindfulness, and harmony with the rhythm of the world. In these journeys, the mortals encountered not only the physical remnants of the dragon priests, but also the subtle echoes of their essence. The air carried faint hums of enchantments. The walls radiated quiet power, and shadows moved with a soft, deliberate grace. One could sense the slow passage of time, the careful shaping of history, and a gentle insistence that the world, like the tombs themselves, is to be observed, respected, and understood with care. Even the faintest noise seemed amplified in significance, each sound a reminder of the delicate balance between presence and patience, action and reflection. And so, The heroes who wandered did not merely explore tombs. They stepped into a living meditation. Their hearts slowed, their thoughts softened, and their spirits aligned with the quiet pulse of Tamriel itself. In the hush of candlelight, the soft murmur of wind, and the rhythmic echo of their own careful steps, they glimpsed the harmony of ages past. Every journey became a subtle lesson. That true discovery lies not in the haste of the moment, but in the slow, deliberate unfolding of awareness, patience, and the enduring calm left by those who came before. The mortals who wandered into the dragon priest's tombs often found more than stone and shadow. They discovered subtle lessons written into the very fabric of the halls. Some encountered illusions, soft echoes of the past, where flickering candlelight revealed figures performing rituals long ago. These visions were not frightening, but meditative, offering glimpses of devotion and patience that stretched across centuries. The travelers learned to watch slowly, to breathe deeply, and to appreciate the quiet unfolding of history that seemed to linger in every corner. In rare moments, triumph came not from conquest, but from understanding. A scholar might trace the flow of an ancient enchantment, following a line of sigils that led to a hidden chamber, and in the discovery, feel a gentle alignment with the rhythms of the world. A wanderer might place a hand upon a carved pedestal and sense the faint hum of centuries, as if the dragon priests themselves acknowledged the reverence of the moment. These victories were not loud, but subtle and profound, like the soft rising of dawn after a long night, reminding each traveler that insight often arrives quietly, without fanfare. Reflections filled these journeys, slowing the mind and softening the spirit. Mortals considered their own lives in the mirror of history, feeling the weight of patience, devotion, and careful observation that had guided the priests. The tombs became spaces for meditation, where triumph was measured not in spoils or power, but in awareness, humility, and the gentle embrace of knowledge. Each step through shadowed corridors was a meditation, each pause a breath in harmony with centuries of wisdom lingering silently in the air. Even the creatures of the tombs seemed touched by the lingering magic. Small animals moved with deliberate care. Shadows shifted softly, and the faintest breeze carried the resonance of enchantments, like a whisper of calm through the halls. Mortals learned to match their pace. Their hearts quieted, their thoughts slowed, and they felt themselves becoming part of the rhythm of the tomb, a participant in the enduring meditation of Tamriel. And so, those who walked among the dragon priest's legacies carried the lessons with them. They left with more than stories. They carried the quiet patience of ages, the soft hum of magic, and the gentle wisdom that even the smallest gestures, when performed with care and reverence, echo through time. The tombs, the masks, the spells, and the lingering presence of dragons became a living lullaby, guiding the mind toward calm, reflection, and the meditative embrace of history itself. In this way, every traveler, every wanderer becomes both observer and participant in the gentle, enduring song of Tamriel. In the quiet corners of Tamriel, where the winds carry soft whispers through forests and across valleys, echoes of the past linger like gentle mist. The tombs of the dragon priests are vessels for these echoes, holding memories of ages long gone. They are not restless, nor do they demand attention. Instead, they hum softly, a gentle resonance that brushes against the mind of any who pause to listen. In this stillness, one can feel history not as a record of events, but as a living, breathing presence, delicate and eternal. Within the shadowed halls, faint impressions of those long departed remain. The soft hum of a chant, the quiet murmur of footsteps along polished stone, or the fleeting glimmer of candlelight reflected on carved faces can evoke the sense that the priests continue their meditations. These echoes do not startle, they soothe. They invite reflection, patience, and a reverence for the slow unfolding of time. Each chamber, each corridor, holds a whisper of devotion, a quiet reminder of lives spent in contemplation and alignment with the eternal rhythms of the world. The air in these spaces carries subtle traces of memory. One might feel a gentle warmth where a priest once rested, or a soft coolness where incantations linger, hovering in suspended resonance. The stones themselves seem to hum with quiet understanding, their surfaces etched not only with sigils and carvings, but with the intangible weight of centuries of thought and ritual. To walk among them is to move alongside the past, sensing the patience, the wisdom, and the calm that permeates every corner. Even outside the tombs, echoes persist. Valleys that have been touched by ancient magic seem to breathe slowly, forests sway with measured grace, and rivers hum faintly in synchrony with unseen rhythms. Travelers who listen carefully may feel a subtle shift in perception, a soft slowing of thought, a gentle harmonization of mind and spirit with the enduring cadence of the world. It is a quiet gift, an invisible hand guiding one toward contemplation, serenity, and the meditative understanding that history is less a series of events than a delicate, unbroken current of presence. In this way, the echoes of the past become a lullaby. They do not demand attention, they invite it. They do not rush, they flow. The dragon priests, long gone from the mortal plane, continue to impart quiet lessons through the subtle resonance of their lives, their tombs, and the land itself. For those who move slowly, breathe deliberately, and listen closely, these echoes carry a soft serenity, a gentle meditation, and the enduring, whispered song of Tamriel's ancient heart. Beyond the stones and shadows of the dragon priests' tombs, the past drifts gently into dreams, weaving visions of history that linger in the quiet minds of those who pause to listen. These dreams are not vivid or startling. They are soft and fluid, flowing like slow rivers through valleys of memory. The actions, thoughts, and devotion of long-past priests echo in a meditative rhythm, allowing the mind to wander along the subtle currents of time, tracing the delicate paths of centuries gone by. In these dreams, the world of Tamriel unfolds as a living tapestry. Mountains rise and fall with a slow, patient majesty. Rivers trace silver lines across the land, as if carrying secrets from one age to the next. Forests sway with a gentle rhythm, each leaf trembling in harmony with the heartbeat of the earth. Even the skies seem aware, shifting gradually, the clouds moving as if in quiet conversation with the distant peaks. The dragon priests themselves appear not as spirits to fear, but as guides, figures of reverence who teach patience, mindfulness, and a contemplative understanding of the world. Each dream carries fragments of ritual, faint chants that linger at the edge of hearing, the shimmer of candlelight across ancient stone, and the subtle hum of magic infused in every carved wall and etched symbol. The mind, attuned to these gentle vibrations, finds itself slowing, thoughts softening, and worries dissolving into the quiet rhythm of the scene. In this space, history is not an abstract record. It is a living, breathing presence, meditative and enduring, inviting the dreamer to move with care and awareness through the unfolding story. Mortals who wander these dreamscapes sense the interplay between life and memory. They see the priests in quiet meditation, performing acts of devotion that resonate far beyond their mortal years. They observe dragons moving gracefully through misted skies, the creature's wings stirring the rhythm of both the natural world and the magical currents that flow unseen. And in these moments, a subtle understanding emerges that the passage of time is gentle, patient, and deliberate, and that every life, every thought, every act of reverence contributes to the enduring melody of Tamriel. These dreams of history, soft as a lullaby, leave traces of calm in the waking mind. They remind travelers and listeners alike that the past is not lost, but present in subtle echoes, in whispers of wind through ancient trees, in the patient murmur of rivers, and in the quiet resonance of stone. For those who breathe slowly and listen attentively, The dreams of history offer a meditation on continuity, devotion, and the gentle, timeless song of the dragon priests, a lullaby for the soul, carrying the mind toward rest and the serenity of ages long past. Hidden deep within forests, valleys, and mountain ridges, the temples of the dragon priests lie quiet, worn by centuries, yet preserved by devotion. They are not grand in the sense of mortal splendor. Rather, their majesty comes from balance, symmetry, and the soft, enduring resonance of magic. Each stone seems placed with intention, each arch carved with care, and each corridor aligned to capture the slow flow of wind, sunlight, and shadow. In these spaces, architecture becomes prayer, and silence becomes a hymn. The temples are often shrouded in mist, their outlines softened by the passage of time and the embrace of nature. Moss creeps along stone walls, blending the man-made with the living world, while trees sway gently outside, their leaves brushing the temple roofs with a soft, rhythmic cadence. Rivers and streams nearby carry faint murmurs that echo through the halls, mingling with the lingering hum of enchantments. In this delicate harmony, the temples seem alive, not as sentient beings, but as living vessels of memory and devotion, patiently holding the essence of those who built them. Inside, one finds chambers designed for meditation and ritual rather than spectacle. Narrow hallways guide the visitor with subtle cues, a change in light, a pattern etched in stone, or a faint hum in the air. Sanctuaries contain altars carved from smooth, cool stone, and niches hold relics, scrolls, and offerings left long ago. Each object is carefully placed, inviting reflection, attention, and stillness. The air is thick with gentle magic, subtle yet perceptible, carrying a calming resonance that slows the mind and encourages careful observation. The design of the temples reflects the philosophy of the dragon priests themselves. Harmony and patience are prioritized over haste and display. Even the smallest details, an engraved symbol, the slope of a stair, the curve of a doorway, carry meaning, echoing the priest's devotion to balance, alignment, and reverence for the natural and the mystical. Light, shadow, and air are carefully orchestrated, creating spaces where thought and breath can move at the slow rhythm of eternity. To wander through a forgotten temple is to participate in a silent meditation. The mind slows, the heart softens, and the spirit aligns with the quiet pulse of the world. Each step becomes deliberate, each breath a measure in the unfolding rhythm of the ages. In this way, the temples endure not merely as structures of stone, but as living teachers, whispering lessons in patience, reflection, and the subtle, gentle harmony that shaped the lives of the dragon priests and the lands of Tamriel itself. Within the hushed walls of the dragon priests' temples, rituals unfold like gentle rivers, flowing slowly and deliberately, carrying the essence of devotion through time. Candles flicker softly, their light stretching across stone altars, illuminating sigils etched with care. The air hums faintly with lingering magic, a resonance that does not startle but soothes, inviting all who enter to slow their thoughts and attune to the rhythm of the sacred space. Each movement, each breath, each whispered incantation is a meditation, a quiet act of harmony between mortal and divine. The priests, in life, moved through these rituals with measured grace. They placed hands upon carved stones, poured offerings into polished bowls, and traced ancient symbols with deliberate precision. Their chants were soft, rising and falling in gentle waves that merged with the ambient resonance of the temple itself. Even the smallest gesture carried significance, teaching that devotion is measured not in grandeur, but in patience, attention, and mindful repetition. Each ritual was a bridge between the world of the living and the timeless flow of magic and memory that permeated the temple. Enchantment intertwined seamlessly with ceremony. Sigils glimmered faintly when the ritual was performed correctly, responding to the focused presence of the priest. Candles burned with subtle variations, their flames bending toward light and shadow in harmony with the intent of the ceremony. Stones vibrated softly, channels of magical energy flowing like quiet streams through the halls. Even the air itself seemed to carry the weight of centuries, a gentle pulse that guided movements, inspired reflection, and whispered lessons in patience and alignment. Visitors who enter these spaces long after the priests have passed can still feel the meditative energy of the rituals. There is no urgency, no spectacle, only calm observation, gentle rhythm, and the lingering hum of devotion. One might sense the echo of a chant, see the soft glow of an enchanted symbol, or feel the subtle pull of alignment with the quiet flow of the world. The experience is contemplative, teaching that presence, awareness, and respect are the greatest offerings, and that magic, when interwoven with patience, becomes a lullaby for mind and spirit. Thus, the rituals within the temples endure softly, eternally, guiding all who enter into a meditative state of reflection and serenity. They are not commands, but invitations, not displays, but whispers of continuity. Every stone, every flame, every hum of magic teaches the quiet majesty of the dragon priests, reminding all who pause to breathe and listen that devotion is timeless, patience is profound, and the song of Tamriel carries softly across the ages, a gentle lullaby for those who seek its calm embrace. In the dimly lit corners of the dragon priests' tombs, shadows gather not to frighten, but to conceal and protect. These shadows are alive with subtle magic, gentle yet perceptible, holding secrets of ages past. They stretch along stone walls, curling around pillars, and pooling in the hollows of vaulted ceilings, creating spaces where history quietly lingers. To wander here is to move among whispers of devotion, fragments of ritual, and traces of knowledge that were never meant to be hurriedly discovered. The secrets hidden in the shadows are as patient as the priests who left them. Ancient inscriptions are often etched where light barely reaches, symbols that hum faintly with enchantments designed to guide the attentive and mislead the impatient. Small alcoves conceal scrolls and relics, each carefully placed to reward careful observation and slow, mindful exploration. Even the faintest trace of a magical aura is deliberate, a soft reminder that wisdom must be sought with care and reverence. In these quiet spaces, one might sense the lingering presence of the dragon priests themselves, not as ghosts seeking attention, but as subtle guides, their essence woven into the shadows and the air. A flicker of light on an etched wall may hint at a long-forgotten ritual, while the soft hum of magic in a corner can draw the mind to reflection and stillness. These hidden lessons are not obvious. They are delicate, like threads of mist caught in the morning sun, requiring patience, awareness, and gentle curiosity to perceive fully. The shadows also serve to protect the sanctity of the tombs. They guard treasures and knowledge alike, creating natural barriers that temper the pace of exploration. Travelers may find paths shifting subtly, rooms appearing longer or narrower, corridors curving in ways that encourage thoughtful steps and mindful breaths. It is as if the tombs themselves breathe, teaching the same lessons the priests cherished in life: patience, respect, and harmony with the subtle rhythms of the world. Even for those who only glimpse the shadows from afar, there is a lesson to be felt. They whisper of care, devotion, and the quiet unfolding of time. Every curve, every depth, every interplay of light and dark carries the soft resonance of centuries, inviting the observer to slow their thoughts, listen closely, and reflect. In this way, the secrets in the shadows endure, gentle and unhurried, guiding all who move among them into calm contemplation, meditative awareness, and the soft, enduring song of Tamriel's hidden heart. Within the quiet halls of the dragon priests' tombs, knowledge lies not only in scrolls or inscriptions, but in the very stones themselves. Forgotten runes, etched with care centuries ago, hum faintly with the magic of devotion and patience. They are subtle, often hidden in corners where light is scarce, revealing their presence only to those who move slowly and observe attentively. These runes are not mere symbols. They are lessons, whispers of wisdom carried across the ages, guiding minds gently toward reflection, understanding, and calm. The secrets they hold are as varied as the priests themselves. Some runes speak of alignment, the harmony between mortal and divine, between magic and matter. Others encode knowledge of dragons, their habits, their rhythms, and the subtle connections that link these majestic creatures to the land. There are runes that teach patience, showing that every act, no matter how small, resonates through time. And still others preserve memories of rituals, spells, and enchantments, carrying a soft pulse of power that encourages mindfulness rather than haste. Those who approach these runes with reverence often feel their presence as a gentle vibration in the mind, a quiet resonance that slows thought and softens emotion. It is as if the priests themselves reach across centuries, offering a calm hand to guide attention and contemplation. The runes do not demand understanding. They invite it, encouraging the observer to pause, breathe, and align with the quiet flow of knowledge that has persisted through time. Each discovery, each gentle recognition, is a meditation on continuity, patience, and devotion. Even the architecture of the tombs complements these hidden lessons. Carvings lead subtly toward important symbols. Walls curve to catch the faintest light on a sigil, and alcoves conceal treasures meant to reward mindful observation. Magic hums through the stone, interwoven with the runes, creating a space where mind, body, and spirit are drawn into harmony with the silent teachings of the past. The halls become living classrooms, not for spectacle, but for reflection, meditation, and the soft accumulation of wisdom. Thus, hidden knowledge and forgotten runes endure as gentle guides. They offer a quiet meditation on the lives and devotion of the dragon priests, inviting all who encounter them to slow, reflect, and move with careful awareness. In the hush of these sacred spaces, the mind drifts softly, guided by the whispers of history, the hum of subtle magic, and the enduring, meditative song of Tamriel itself, a lullaby of calm, patience, and timeless wonder. The dragon priests, though long departed from the world of the living, left behind a legacy that hums softly through Tamriel. Their masks, tombs, temples, and enchantments endure as gentle reminders of patience, devotion, and quiet wisdom. They are not monuments of power alone, but vessels of meditation, teaching those who approach with respect the slow, deliberate rhythm of history. The air around their resting places carries the resonance of centuries, a faint song that invites reflection, awareness, and gentle contemplation. Their influence is subtle yet profound. Even in ruins, one can feel the careful alignment of stone and magic, the deliberate placement of relics, the quiet pulse of enchantments. Every corridor, every chamber, every shadowed corner speaks of a philosophy that prizes observation, patience, and reverence for the flow of time. Travelers who wander here find themselves slowed, their thoughts softening, their spirits harmonizing with the gentle heartbeat of the land. It is a legacy not of conquest, but of mindful presence, a reminder that understanding and care endure longer than force. The masks, each uniquely shaped to reflect the nature of its wearer, carry lessons in humility and devotion. Azadul's icy patience, Nalia's quiet courage, Akari's subtle observation. They remain etched in memory, whispering their truths to those who move with care. The tombs themselves, protected by enchantments and subtle rituals, serve as living classrooms for reflection. Spells, runes, and hidden knowledge guide the attentive, offering insights into the harmony between mortal, dragon, and land. Every element resonates in quiet, deliberate rhythm, a meditation on the enduring song of Tamriel. Even the dragons, their ancient companions, carry echoes of the priest's presence. The mountains, the mists, the rivers. They all resonate with the subtle harmony established through careful observation and mutual respect. Travelers, scholars, and seekers who encounter these traces often find their minds slowing, their hearts softening, and their awareness deepening. The legacy of the dragon priests is not merely historical. It is experiential, meditative, and alive in every echo of stone, shadow, and magic. And so, the dragon priests remain present, not as spirits of unrest, but as teachers of calm. Their legacy hums softly through the world, a continuous meditation on patience, devotion, and timeless wisdom. For those who pause, breathe, and observe, the lessons endure, a gentle, lasting lullaby, carrying the mind and soul into the serene embrace of Tamriel's quiet, enduring heart. As the shadows lengthen and the last candlelight flickers across stone, the whisper of the dragon priests lingers in the quiet halls of Tamriel. It is not a voice that calls, but a presence that hums softly, echoing through tombs, temples, and misted mountains. The air vibrates with centuries of devotion, careful observation, and gentle magic, reminding all who listen that time moves slowly, deliberately, and with purpose. Each breath, each step, each heartbeat aligns subtly with the eternal rhythm carried by their legacy. The world itself becomes a vessel for this quiet song. Valleys stretch in meditative calm, rivers hum along gentle courses, and forests sway in measured rhythm. Even the stones seem to breathe, carrying soft vibrations of ritual, knowledge, and devotion. Mortals who move through these spaces feel themselves subtly guided, their thoughts slowing, their hearts softening, and their awareness expanding into the hushed resonance of history. It is a presence that teaches patience, respect, and alignment with the quiet flow of life. The masks of the dragon priests, once worn in devotion, now serve as symbols of enduring wisdom. Each carries a story, a lesson, a subtle guidepost for those who approach with reverence. Enchantments continue to hum, runes glow faintly, and the very architecture of the tombs and temples leads the attentive toward reflection. Even in the absence of the living, the magic is gentle, a soft current that encourages mindfulness, a lullaby for the mind and spirit, guiding all toward calm contemplation and quiet insight. The dragons, long companions of the priests, continue to move through misted skies, their presence a reminder of strength tempered with patience, of majesty balanced with serenity. The land resonates in harmony with their flight, with the quiet devotion of the priests, and with the slow, enduring pulse of Tamriel itself. Travelers who pause, breathe, and attune to these subtleties discover the profound lesson of the dragon priests, that true power lies not in haste or force, but in the patient, deliberate, and harmonious flow of life. And so, the whisper endures. It drifts softly through stone and shadow, wind and river, through mist and memory. It carries the teachings of devotion, reflection, and timeless calm. For those who listen, it becomes a lullaby, a gentle meditation, and a quiet guide into serenity. The dragon priest's legacy is complete not in stone or magic alone, but in the enduring, whispered song that moves through the land, the mind, and the soul, a soft, eternal resonance, carrying all toward rest, reflection, and the gentle embrace of Tamriel's hidden heart.